There have been thousands of people that have contacted me because this gives them hope that something they could have used, sometimes even 30 years ago, is now going to exist.
Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Mission Secure podcast. Today, we are recording a special She Leads Securely edition. I am joined by Ashley Wilson. She is founder of Jaw Analytics and Persephone AI. She's a fractional COO, and she partners with other founders who are looking to implement secure AI practices. Ashley, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Melanie, thanks so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Is it true? Have we been friends for 20 years? Like, is that an exaggeration?
I was thinking about it. I really do think it's been almost 20 years.
too.
But that sort of tells our age, and I don't think
Neither one of us are 20 years old, so I don't know how that's possible. But
it's
yeah.
rare.
Yes, that's right. The Benjamin Button syndrome. What is it? Benjamin Button aging backwards.
It's exactly right. Yes. It must be the boy mom.
It is. So we're going to get into that. But okay, so we originally met. We were both in the insurance industry, and we met. I worked for an insurance processing company, and you worked for an actual insurance company, and we partnered together. And just, gosh, I was thinking back to all the conferences that we attended and just how much fun we have. And what I remember about you is just thinking, who is this firecracker? She is so smart. Like, I don't know if I've ever met anyone this intelligent, because you were into all these analytics and things that just blew my mind. But you were also just such a good human and a fun, down-to-earth person. And I just remember that time with such fond memories.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. I remember the time that you talked me into getting on that ski lift in Montana, and I was terrified. And we finally got to the top, and you guys had a birthday cake for me. I was just thinking about that the other day because I just celebrated my birthday this past weekend. And I was like, that one time that Melanie and I rode that ski lift was pretty hair-raising. But yeah, we've got a lot of great memories, years of great memories.
I had forgotten about that, but you're right. We did ride that ski lift to the top, and what a breathtaking view that was. Really
It
fun.
was.
Well, a happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So speaking of three boys, I had three young boys 20 years ago when we met. Mine are now 21, 18, and almost 16, which is insane. And yes, and then I watched you have three beautiful boys. We just have so much in common. How old are your boys?
I know. So I've got one that is 5. My middle son is 8, and my oldest is about to turn 11. And so they just went back to school this morning. One is in his final year of elementary, and I've got one that just started kindergarten. So I've often looked to you and gone, okay, what's next? What's around the corner? It's pretty exciting.
And I think I've just always told you to buckle up, baby. You never know.
Yeah, that's good advice.
I wish I had some really wise words, but honestly, you just never know. So just be prepared for the unexpected, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we really dive into your story, I watched you release Persephone AI for the first time and just remember thinking, oh my gosh, the world needs this. It hit very close to my heart. And this time around, I'm seeing you release version 2.0, and I knew I had to have you on the show. I know this is a passion project of yours. I've seen the difference it can make and how important it is. And when I saw you releasing 2.0, I thought now is the time. I have a podcast. You are the epitome of a woman that represents what She Leads Securely is all about. And that's just being bold and being brave and being willing before being ready necessarily. We're not always 100% ready. I don't know that we'll ever be 100% ready, but just being willing. Send me. I can do this. So I just
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about Persephone AI and tell us exactly what it is, and then tell us why now is the perfect time to release 2.0. What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad we're going to have some time to talk about it. So Persephone AI is, I guess I'll start with, I've built and scaled a number of companies in different industries, primarily insurance or financial services, often leaning heavy towards the use of technology. And so that's my whole background in a nutshell. Um, and it occurred to me that sometimes there's still gaps, especially when it comes to technology for women and around women's safety. And I don't know if that's because a lot of the folks that do go out and found are not always women, or if it's because they're solving different problems. But I saw a real gap around women's safety. And it's so personal to go through something traumatic in an intimate personal relationship. And oftentimes, especially I think if women are protecting children or they don't have access to resources to reinvent their life, and most people don't, um, you don't tell anyone what's going on behind closed doors. And it's near and dear to my heart because I know that I've essentially gone out into the world and said, "Hi, I'm Ashley and I'm a stranger. Can you trust me with these most private details? Can you trust technology to help you?" But the core concept of Persephone is that when you don't know who else to tell, you can tell Persephone AI. And the reason that I think that's so critical is the first step in a safety plan when you receive expert advice and you do speak to someone is, we need you to tell somebody. We need you to tell a doctor. We need you to tell a therapist. We need you to tell a friend, a family member, someone in your community, a priest, tell someone. Because oftentimes the silence carries so much power for the person that is offending um, the
Mm,
victim. And later on, when you are ready to take action or something tragic happens, there's no record and there's no one to turn to corroborate and say, yes, that was happening in the home and I'm aware of it. And so Persephone is a hidden, discrete app that can hide on your phone, where you can make near real time notes about what you're experiencing that is never read by a human being until you're ready for it to be read by a human. You can also attach PDF documents, bank records, audio, video, do language translation if you need to present it to people later who don't speak the language that you documented in or that you recorded in. It can do transcription of audio and video in places where that is allowed for you to have that type of
mm,
material, which is 38 states in America. And essentially, it's creating a court ready evidence file. And even if that evidence record is not admitted into court into the formal record, I am assured by litigators that it is a great tool as a refresher document. So the person can step aside, review the notes, attorneys have privy to it, judges can review it, and it becomes part of building a case when you are ready to take action. Now, under the hood of Persephone, beyond what you're going to enter, the person that may need it can also trigger things to send it out to emergency services, share it with police, share it with their safe people that they can have already in their file, um, and potentially even release that record to someone that they've previously identified if they were no longer available to give consent. So it exists for the worst case scenario as well. And unfortunately, there are a lot of scenarios that don't end positively, and there should be a written record of what someone was experiencing. And so that is what Persephone 1.0 really was. And it launched in October of 2024 for iOS and Google Play.
wow. Wow. Okay, so it is a hidden app on your phone. That means when you pull up your phone, it doesn't say Persephone. It's not something where someone could take your phone and look at it and say, "Oh, what is this Persephone app?" It's hidden. It looks like something else. Is that right?
Correct. That's correct. And I won't say much
Okay.
more because obviously we prefer for it not to be broadcast widely, um, exactly all the ways that Persephone can linger in the
Okay.
background. But part of 2.0 is really advancing the ability for it to hide even better.
Wow. And so, as someone who's going through a situation, um, you're needing detailed notes about what's happening. You're needing, even like you said, for your own reminders, for your own refreshers. Oftentimes, these things go on for years. Um,
Years. Yeah.
and having, you said it could take PDFs, photos, videos,
Mhm.
doctor notes. Um,
It's a
it is a
vault.
vault.
Essentially,
Okay.
it's a vault. So it's, I think people, rightfully so, are often very scared in the intensity of situations to
Hmm.
document, to even write things
Hmm.
down, to keep a written record. Handwritten notes do the same thing. Emailing yourself does the same thing, which even if you're not ready to have Persephone, I would recommend a separate email account and email yourself and then delete the sent record. But what you're really achieving is this time and date stamped record that creates a file over time to show a timeline of events and a safe place for you to put things.
What a
Um,
powerful tool. Gosh, I can just imagine the impact that even just since 2024, in the last 2 years, that this has had. Just thinking back, I have so many. I think we all probably, even if we don't have personal experiences, we know of people who are in situations
yeah,
like these and can immediately probably bring them to mind and recall, what a difference a tool like this would have made for, any number of those women, or I mean anyone who's in an abusive situation, not just women, but this could.
yes. And it's incredible, Melanie, the way that I think a lot of folks that might be living it today are not comfortable, and I would not expect them to be reaching out and talking as
Mhm.
freely because they don't want anything to be found out that they're saying something about their
Mhm.
situation. But there have been thousands of people that have contacted
Mm.
me because this gives them hope that something they could have used, sometimes even 30 years
Wow.
ago, is now going to
Mm.
exist. And that helps keep me going because it is not easy work. Um, there was so much fear and apprehension that I had to work through to even bring this to
Mhm.
life. I weirdly joke that I had my 3 boys, but this almost feels like my
Oh.
daughter in a way. It's like something I created. It took me about the same amount of time. It's, very personal because I recognize the ask of people to say, "Hey, can you trust
Mhm.
this? Can you trust me?" And I think that's really important, and above all, I've really enjoyed that it's given people hope, hope that there could be a future where it is harder to get away with this type of behavior, where there is more justice on the other side, where people's lives do get to reset, and they get another
Yeah.
chance.
Hope is powerful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oftentimes in those situations, you don't know who you can trust, and you don't know if there's a way out. You don't even know if you want a way out a lot of times, maybe because you do have hope that things will change. You have hope that the
Well,
situation will improve.
of course. I mean, that's a big part of why it's so difficult, right? You question yourself a lot.
Absolutely.
Is it as bad as I
Hmm.
think? Am I just
Mm.
overreacting? Is this really wrong? We see it all the time in mom groups. I bet you
Hmm.
do too. People asking, "Am I the one that's in the wrong? Is this appropriate? Why I don't have access to any of the money. I can barely buy gas for the car. I'm taking care of the kids all the time. I was asked to quit my job." You know, people are very trapped in their situations, and they often go on. I see it on Facebook anonymously, and they poll the crowd, trying to understand if they're thinking about it correctly or not. And so part of 2.0 and why I really want to get to this next level and evolution of the technology does offer these layered assessments to help people gauge the severity of the situation they're in, if what these things are labeled and called, if they were sitting with a clinician, how that would look on a power and control wheel, what the right labels are, if it is wrong, and just help boost the confidence of the person experiencing it, that they should be in documenting, that even in just making that first entry, there's a lot of reclaiming of your own
Mhm.
power.
Believing in yourself. There's a lot of brainwashing and manipulation that happens in these situations. Um,
Right.
there is a lot of maybe narcissistic tendencies to control, and just having the confidence to, as you said, make that first documentation, to believe enough in yourself that you're going to start writing things down. No matter how the situation ends up, you're taking that first step. There is power in that, and I can see how that confidence would build over time as you document. And regardless of what, if anything, ever happens to that information, you're putting it down
Yeah,
on paper what's happening. And I love the
exactly.
assessments and the questionnaires. Like, how do you? Who else did you build Persephone for? Like, are doctors' offices using it? Are counselors using it? Therapists? Like, do you have partners? How to, like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think that's a really important part of why we're moving into this version 2. And so Persephone is completely bootstrapped. I'll start with that. I hand drew the screens. I hired the right people to help me because I am not a graphic designer, and it was my second app. So I had a bit of experience, but I knew who
Okay.
I needed. And so I needed developers to help with code, and I needed graphic designers. And so version 1 was really built B2C. It was it was going out direct to the person who may need to download the app. It was, can we get it live? Will people actually use it? Um, Trying to prove out this proof of concept, essentially. And the last year and a half has really been fixated on that reality. And the truth is, yes, people are downloading it, and yes, they are using it. And I'd like to believe that it's making a difference. But one thing about it is, it's one of the hardest things I've ever brought to market, because you cannot talk to your customer. You can't really ask them, what would you like to see? We make bold promises that we will never contact you, because that could be dangerous for you. However, where I did get an enormous amount of communication were from hospital networks, therapists, police
Mhm.
departments, detectives in the field, shelters, and volunteer organizations that support the community, all saying similar things, which is, do you do block seats? Can you add more resources in so that these, Xerox copies that we're handing out to people could just be there in the application? Can we have demo accounts? Could we go in and try it? What could you do for us? And that's when I was realizing, I always want B2C to exist. I always want to be a face of this that says, hey, come on this journey with me. You don't know who else to tell, but you can have this. You don't have to do it completely alone. But alongside that, I really want a B2B option to exist as
Mhm.
well, so that I have something that says, and if you make it in front of a family law attorney, they know where to tell you to start putting your experiences. Or if you do find yourself at a shelter, they know where you could be documenting, because it's a known fact that it often takes 7 times to leave for good, and lots of folks, they go back. And then, my sister is actually a nurse, and she has been asking me for over a year to please get something that she can show to the hospital networks in her area in
Mhm.
Louisiana, because she sees patients that are in, she often did prenatal care. And she said, I see women all the time, and I tell them every time, just look up Persephone. But I would love to have something higher up within our hospital framework that they can share out with patients when they see these situations, because seeing it and being able to do something about it are often very different
Yes.
things. And so this version 2 is designed with sponsorship. So you can go in and sponsor a seat for the next person, or B2B partnerships, so that we can get a broader network that's getting it in front of the right
I
folks.
think that's gonna be huge. I just feel so good about that, and absolutely partnering so that you can get the group seating and get it out to more people. I have such I love that you carried this pain and you turned it into purpose, but that you built something with it. You became the solution. You're becoming the solution. I think that's so important, and it's why I wanted to have you on this She Leads Securely edition. I think this is going to speak to so many women. You're proof that you don't have to wait, or you don't have to have permission to build something that you see that's missing in this world. I mean, just go do it. Um, d-
Yeah.
okay, so I'm actually remembering back to when you were in Harvard Business School. Both of our careers have gone through some ups and some downs and some twists and some turns, and we've probably pivoted as much as any other people that I know. And I remember you were in Harvard Business School, and was Persephone a part of that? Do the roots go back that far? Tell me about that.
The roots do go back that far. So it's interesting because the name came to me before the idea did. And so I had the name. I knew I wanted to create Persephone. And the first version wasn't what eventually would come to market. And I was taking a class at Harvard, and we were tasked with essentially creating a business at the ideation stage, and then building around it this product reference vetting process, that where they take you through a multi-step process for, is this a viable business idea? Who do you compete with? What type of money would you need to make it real? And then you create a pitch deck and you present it to the class, and they pick certain ones. And so that really forced me to sit down and go, what would I want Persephone to look like and become? Um, and then from there, I really struggled with the question around, how do you operationalize that? You've got an unknown target market, right? So you can't actually speak to your customer once you're live. You need to choose, is it worse to not market it at all, or market but risk that you might be telling the person you don't want to know alongside telling the person you do want
Mm,
to know? How do you get in front of the customer in the correct way? And then, like many things, what do you do about the money? Because I can't bootstrap a company that doesn't charge anything, because I don't have the type of funds, I wish I did, to make it free to for it to exist. It will cost something for it to exist. So who pays for that? Is it a for profit? Is it a nonprofit? And then, most importantly to me, sometimes the people that need it most can't show that they paid anything
mm,
for it. So how do we get everything working and moving in the right direction? So I went to my professor at the time and said, this is where I'm stuck. And they told me a hard truth. And she said, this should exist in the world. Without a doubt. I agree with you. You're the right person to make this real. But if you cannot figure out how to operationalize it, you should never
mm,
build it. And it slowed me down, frankly. I probably took 90 days sitting in that harsh fact and going, okay, how do we solve this? Um, and I believe that we've been able to arrive at a compromise that's well enough. But I really do hope that Persephone gets enough momentum that we get broader support, so that it can get into the hands of the right people, um, and that the financial bit doesn't stop someone from ever having access to it. That's not the intent.
Absolutely. So, as we talk about funding for Persephone and the cost of it and getting it into the right hands, often the people who need it the most um, can't, can't have any proof that they have purchased this. What type of companies are you looking to partner with that can help you get Persephone to where it needs to be? Because I do believe that the world needs this. I believe that we're going to make this happen. This is the right platform for it. So tell me, tell me who you're looking for to help make this a reality.
Yeah, for sure. So I really believe that therapists that meet individually with their clients are a great outlet for this, especially therapists that are working with people that are moving through trauma or anxiety or depression. We often hear it after the fact when the court case is airing on
Mhm.
TV that they were suffering from mental health issues. Um, those are the right people, and they've expressed a lot of interest as Persephone's come online. Family law attorneys are absolutely in that market of folks because you will consult with them if you are married and you're trying to exit, particularly if there are children involved. And so I think there's a lot of room for attorneys to be in this network that helps get Persephone into the right
Mhm.
hands. And then alongside that, any type of government entity. So Persephone's gotten some interesting attention from police forces. There's at the government level where they run all of the shelters within a
Mhm.
state are the right audience for this. Um, and even some national government entities have spoken to me about how Persephone could help more in the layer of trafficking
Mhm.
victims and trafficking networks. So anyone that are in those spaces of direct contact with the community, alongside obviously our medical professionals and hospital networks. I've yet to do a meeting with a hospital network, but I have been asked a few times. I just felt that we needed something more packaged and sophisticated to be ready to put something into the hands of those
Well,
administrators.
hopefully, some of those people are listening today, and we'll make sure that they have all the information that they need to reach out to you when this is over. Oh, Ashley, it's been so great talking with you. I feel like we have so much more to say. We're going to continue this conversation next week in part two. I hope everyone will tune back in and hear the rest of the conversation.
Thank you, Melanie.